Welcome to Cat Chats, and I'm the host, Cat, and I'm going to talk about my writing journey's starting point and how I've sort of built courage, I guess would be the word, to actually share uh, my work with the world. So, my writing journey started when I was young and very similar to how a lot of people started. Um, I think at first I didn't really like writing, though, in all honesty. I also couldn't really write that well or read very well when I was little. Like when I was in second grade, I was reading below a kindergarten level, so it wasn't that great starting off. But over time, I became able to read really well. I accelerated greatly in reading, and I went from that low reading level all the way up to above my grade reading level. And that was really exciting, and I got tested out of um, special education for that. I went for 1 hour a day in elementary school. So that is like the rocky start. But once I learned that I liked to read, I got really strong and passionate feelings about some of the stuff I was reading. And when I was really young, um, before middle school, high school, I didn't really know how to express some of that feeling. And eventually, um, thanks to the Vampire Diaries, actually, um, and the Gallagher Girl series by Ally Carter, I found fan fiction. I remember stumbling across fan fiction on fanfiction.net. That was the first place I ever read fanfic. That would be the first place that I'd ever post fanfic. So I remember like handwriting my first fanfic. I was really nervous. I had been reading fanfic for a few months by then. I'd finally got myself an account, and I saw that I too could write fanfic. That I didn't have to only post things completely originally mine. I just had to state, obviously, like I didn't own something. But I was also extremely nervous. I could share my opinion and the things I enjoyed, but I wasn't sharing that with anyone who wasn't my dad or my mom or my siblings. So to be able to share with people around the world was honestly terrifying. And at first, I started writing the fan fiction in secret, um, handwriting it down, and then typing it up at my mom's house. Because also, I grew up, I didn't have a computer for a while at my dad's, and then I would go to my mom's and type stuff up there. And eventually, my parents did find out that I was writing fanfic, and they were actually really proud of me for doing something that I was afraid of, for putting something that I cared so strongly about out in the world. And I looked it up. By the way, the first fanfic I ever posted was posted on July 12th of 2012. And so that date is a date that I want to keep as part of my writing plans and goals. I plan to actually write and publish my first book, hopefully on that date, the 10-year anniversary to be specific. But back to that writing journey and its start with fanfic. It gave me courage to put something that I had written out in the world. I didn't have to be scared that characters I'd created were going out to the world because I had access to these pre-existing worlds with the world building done, with the characters essentially created. And at the start, like, I went with the main big characters and wrote about them and the ones you know about. And then I started to work a little bit with writing fanfics that centered around not the main characters, but around characters that we actually didn't really know that much about. And then slowly over time, I would include non-canon things. And then I eventually would start writing fanfic with original characters or OCs. And that is where I was like, yes, I love this. I made this new character, and maybe the world was already built, but I made this one piece and put it there. And like, I'm almost ready to put this into my own world. And then the first time I did an OC story, I only did one. And then I was like, I'm gonna make a couple now, and this one. And then learning about crossovers in fanfiction and melding the worlds together was so much fun. When I started to meld worlds together on fanfics, it's figuring out what pieces of what puzzle can go together, even though they're completely different puzzles. You can create a new image. And that required some world building and world manipulation on my part that I didn't really do with non-crossover fanfic. And it wasn't until after I started working on some mega crossover fanfics, as I like to call it, that actually hasn't been published yet, because I made an original character for a fanfic. And I liked this character so much. I wanted to focus more on her rather than the fandom. Not explore her through the worlds that were already existing, but in her own world, unique to this character, unique to forming from my own brain. And that little shred right there, that little character, blossomed an entire world in my head. A world and a universe. And so I started to work on that world and that story. And don't get me wrong, I still read and write fan fiction. I am a fanfic addict. But my brain just kept focusing on this one character. And so the shadow was born. But I didn't have the courage yet fully to share it out in the world yet. If I had kept that character in the fanfic, which I probably one day will write this fanfic. It's still stewing in my brain. It will never go away until I actually write it down. So that fanfic will one day be out in the world, just not yet, because my brain is at the forefront, building and creating the Shadow world or Shadowverse. Shadow, more, all capital letters. There's dots in between. It's a thing. But that's where my brain is, and that thought is also still expanding. As I was creating the universe of Shadow, I needed to know things. I had questions about the ways that other writers do things, how other authors do things, how they build their characters, how they build their worlds. And Google is where I did that searching, and I ended up on YouTube, and I found AuthorTube and BookTube. But in finding AuthorTube, I kind of lurked. I didn't really comment on anything. I liked videos, but I didn't get involved in the comments or the discussion. And eventually I found live streams, and I one day said hi. And then it was a snowball effect. I found slowly that I enjoyed the live streams and talking with other writers. And one day I found myself just starting a channel on YouTube. And then I was sharing information about Shadow, and actually how I finally got an outline going properly for Shadow was I did a live stream, and somebody suggested I do bullet points instead of like fully detail and fleshing it out. Just because some people's brains are chaos like mine, and maybe just fully fledged outline doesn't work. So thanks to that live stream, I went from barely having chapter 1 outlined to I outlined an entire book in like a week, 2 weeks. It's documented on my YouTube channel because I mainly did it live. And then I was actually writing my own original work, and I was stunned. And then I found more people, and I started streaming with others, and I've found a sense of community. There's a group of friends now. They're my friends now. I have a group of friends that I've never physically met in person, but I've met online, and I've done live streams with them. I've talked to them in real time. That they help encourage me in my writing, and I do my best to help encourage them. As I'm very young. I'm in my early 20s. I'm the youngest of the group by a lot, actually. And my thoughts of writing have expanded, and Shadow has expanded even more. I wasn't sure how it was going to be. Was it going to be a trilogy? Because I knew it wasn't going to be one book. Now it's 7 books, and then in the same universe there's a trilogy, and then there's another book that's a standalone. Hopefully, I don't know. It might end up more. But my writing journey is still so early. I am still quite early on, and I want to share that journey with you guys I'm sharing it on my channel on YouTube. I'm sharing it on live streams. But sometimes you just want to sit there and just let the words flow out of your mouth and not be on a live stream. So, if you've made it this far, thank you. Um, this was the start of my writing journey, and there are bits and pieces in there that I'll probably expand on later, but who knows? If you liked this episode, you could follow here for cat chats. Um, I'm also linked on here to my other social medias and things. Um, but yeah, I'm just I'm gaining courage and strength in my writing thoughts. So thank you for taking the time to listen to me ramble.